Good day, madam and my friends. So today I would like to give you all a speech about the temperature. My name is Jeremy Lee Sing and my metric number is 277469. Imagine living in a polluted world, a world without trees, a world that the industrial factory release the emission every day, and a world that temperature fluctuates day by day. What do you think the world like this? Can it survive? In contrast, imagine living in a world that very clean and green. If you get a chance to choose, which world do you want to live? Former President of United States Barack Obama once mentioned there's one issue that will define the counters of this century more dramatically than any others, and that is the urgent threats of the changing climate. This informs the significance to save the world from the climate change. I become interested in this topic after read this statement. So, do you know that the global temperature has risen over the last century? Why should you pay attention about the degree of warming? According to the United Nations Climate Change Project, the global temperature will increase from 3 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which may cause the ice caps melt issue to occur and lead to the problem of some of the countries' border will be underwater. The Earth is saying something to us, but it depends on us to pay attention and listen to the sign. Our Earth is getting hotter, and it will increase the chance of weather disaster happens. Recently, we are observing the record heat, surf storm, droughts, and fires. We can notice that the consequence of that occur on the weather and our health are connected to the temperature issue. So today, I am here to talk about why temperature will continue to rise in the future, which later I will explain the reason that include greenhouses, gases, variation in the sun's intensity, and the increase in carbon pollution from transportation. Okay, so let's talk about the first reason, which is the greenhouse gases. Greenhouse gases cause the temperature increase due to the conversion of absorbing the infrared radiation, thus holding and trapping the heat in the atmosphere. According to the finding from the NASA, the scientists stated that the activity which produced by human, especially the greenhouse gases, is the main reason that will cause the temperature to continue to rise for centuries to come. Behind the challenge to address the issue of the temperature increase lies the rise in greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. A greenhouse gases known as the gaseous chemical compound in the atmosphere which able to gravitate the infrared radiation, hence holding and trapping heat in our atmosphere. By rising the heat in our atmosphere, greenhouse gases are liable for the greenhouse result, which eventually leads to the rise in temperature. Besides, to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and mitigate their consequence, the researchers of all over the world continue to work towards finding strategy, and one proactive and effective solution is scientists investigating to inhale the carbon dioxide out of the air and bury it underground until it back to normal. So next, the greenhouse gases that are produced by human activities include deforestation, burning fossil fuels, and farming. Trees and plants play a significant role in controlling and regulating the increasing in temperature. This is because trees and plants are capable to absorb the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and release the oxygen back to the air. We power the cars and create the electricity by burning the fossil fuels such as oil, coal, and gas. This human activity will release the carbon dioxide pollution into the air. The degree of the carbon dioxide pollution per individual is almost 4 times the average of the world. For the farming, the livestock such as cattle and sheep, which produce the methane, another greenhouse gas, produce the methane is big contributor to increase the temperature when the livestock are grazed at a large scale. Besides, some type of the fertilizer that used by the farmer will release another greenhouse gas such as nitrous oxide. In addition, there are the argument that The increasing in global temperature is a natural process. In fact, it has always been greenhouse gases. Recently, the volume of the gases in the atmosphere has skyrocketed due to the human activity, which is the chemical have been released into the atmosphere in a long term. Next, the global atmospheric concentration of methane, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and the other pollutants have slightly increased over the centuries. Besides, the atmospheric carbon dioxide fluctuate between estimated 280 parts per million during interglacial warm time and 180 parts per million during the Ice Age before the Industrial Revolution era. Nevertheless, the volume of the carbon dioxide has risen 100 times rapidly than the rise when the large ice age ended. Obviously, the increase of the pollutant in atmosphere is due to the human activities. So, the next reason is that the variation in the sun's intensity. Besides, the variation in the sun intensity are one of the reasons that influence the global temperature. The seasonal temperature of varying at different latitude is affected by the angle of the incoming solar radiation. This is because the incoming solar radiation will nearly perpendicular or be more direct when the sun rays strike Earth's surface near equator. Hence, it causes the warmer temperature due to the solar radiation that's strong over a smaller surface area. Besides, the energy will be released over a bigger area of the surface, and the temperature will become cooler if the latitudes at a higher degree. This is because the smaller degree of the angle of solar radiation causes the spreading of energy. In addition, the cosmic rays and solar energetic particles also could decrease the degree of the ozone in the stratospheres. In fact, the amount of the ozone in the atmosphere dropped by estimated 3% between in 1979 and 2018. In between 1979 and 1994, the decrease occurred in the stratosphere. Hence, this issue reflects the result of the ozone depleting substance. Additionally, the volume of ozone in the troposphere risen by estimated 13% between in 1979 and 2018. Clearly, the small changes in solar activity can affect global temperature and the amount of ozone in important and surprisingly complicated way. All of the chemicals have been released into the atmosphere for almost a decade, but currently the international endeavor have decreased the emission and phased out their use. Aside from that, the chemicals that have been or are recently being phased out of utilized due to the ozone depleting substance, it implies that some of these chemicals cause harm to our Earth protective ozone layer. Lastly, the temperature data showing rapid warming in the past few years based on the NASA data. Over the last decades, the global temperature has increased by estimated 0.6 of degrees Celsius. Since the mid 1800s, which is 1900s was the warmest, while 1997 to 1998, while 2001 until 2003 recorded as the hottest year. The data show that the global temperature slightly increased. The continuing increase in temperature will bring a bad consequence to the Earth, includes change in ecosystem and rainfall patterns, increase in sea levels and frequent extreme weather. For an additional, the scientists give some prediction that the long-term warmer weather will lead to the serious result in environments such as some species or in ecosystem could become extinct due to not able to adapt to the changes of the temperature. Okay, so for the last reason will be the rise in transportation. The increase in carbon pollution from transportation is one of the reasons that cause the global temperature increase. Besides the transportation sector produce the biggest share of the greenhouse gas emission. Greenhouse gas emissions that generate from transportation mainly come from the human activities such as burning fossil fuel for personal vehicle, ship, trucks, planes, and also trains. So in this activity, almost 90% of the fuel that utilized for the transportation include petroleum base, such as the diesel and gasoline. The buildup of the chemicals such as carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, hydrofluorocarbons, and methane influence the Earth's atmosphere to warm, affecting in changes to the global temperature that we are already starting to see today. Hence, the amount of the pollutant that released into the air will raise, and it is the biggest contributor to the increase in global temperature in the future. We cannot deny the facts that transportation contributed to global temperature rise. The increasing of the vehicle on the roads caused the increasing of the global temperature due to the large amount of the fossil fuel, such as gasoline, that emission from transport. They power the engine by burning the fuel. Thus, the vehicle released the nitrogen oxide and other pollutants that influence the air quality and led to the temperature rise. For an instance, the personal vehicle released estimated 24 pounds of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Hence, it will affect the air quality if this amount of pollutant released in a long term. Other than that, the temperature fluctuates by many degrees day by day. The latest global surface temperature in April 2021 was 0.79 Celsius, which the data is above the 20th century average of 13.7 Celsius. Since 2013, this was the ninth warmest April in the 142-year record and the smallest value for April. Due to the change of the global temperature, scientists have measured that the fluctuation in the energy of the sun by send out the satellites. There are so many evidence show that our Earth is going through many consequences and natural phases that caused by the global temperature. Moreover, the carbon dioxide level increased much faster and much more. This may cause the temperature continuing increase in the future. Apart from that, there are many strategies to solve the continuing rise in global temperature, and one of the strategies is to decrease the vehicle. By doing so, it can against the rise of the global temperature. So, above are the reasons that global temperature will continue to rise in the future. In conclusion, there are many effective and proactive strategies that we can adopt to save the Earth. We can voice out to create awareness about the global temperature issue, hoping that everyone can pay attention to this issue and doing a great thing to protect our world. So, try to do your part to save the world from the climate change, and please take into consideration what I have mentioned. After all, it will be our next generation that will feel the consequence. The above mentioned are just a fraction of the numerous reasons why the global temperature will increase in the future. For an additional, if you love the Earth, you should pay attention and listen to the natural signs to protect the Earth from bad consequences. I will end my speech by quoting an advice from the French coast Hollander. We have a single mission to protect and hand on the planet to the next generation. Thank you. That's all for my persuasive speech. Thank you, doctor, and thank you, my friends.